Good evening and welcome back. We'll begin this program by making you look at a visual. Take a look at this. A bus coming in the opposite direction. Now this is all too familiar, isn't it? It collides with a car which is going in the right direction, and that leads to a collision. The bus in question over here on the screen is actually a school bus. It was empty, thank God, but it was driving in the wrong direction. 6 people have been killed in this collision. From Delhi to Ghaziabad, the school bus was speeding on the wrong side. The school bus was caught on the CCTV, as you can see in these pictures, and that explains the problem. And we are going to try to talk about this problem. Nobody on this very busy highway expressway cared to stop this bus, which some reports suggest was moving on the wrong side for 6 long kilometers. For 6 kilometers, a bus is moving in the opposite direction. Nobody stops it. It collides with the car which was on the right side of the road, leaving 6 people dead, including 2 children. Now, why is this happening? Let's quickly go back in time and tell you about a proposal of the central government. I'm building up a case because we are going to look at a solution here in this program. The central government in 2019 proposed harsher traffic fines for traffic violations. A Motor Vehicle Act Amendment 2019 was proposed. It said that the penalty for first-time general offences will be increased from 100 to 500, so a 5-fold increase. Penalty for second-time general offence from 300 to 1,000. Dangerous driving from 5,000 to 10,000 and 1 year imprisonment. The Transport Minister, Nitin Gadkari, said the intention was not to garner revenue but to reduce accidents. And you know what the state governments did on a proposal like this? Because lots of news started coming in that people on a scooty were being fined 15,000 rupees for their violations, and then the people were seen saying, my scooty doesn't cost this much. How do I pay this much fine? States started diluting these traffic fines and they went back to the same old amount 35 years ago. 100 rupees, 500 rupees, maximum fine 2,000 rupees. This is what the states did. Many states, they watered down the centre's MVA Act 2019. They refused to implement the Motor Vehicle Act. In fact, BJP ruled Gujarat. Their very same central government is proposing an increase in the fine. The state government in Gujarat was the first to reduce the traffic fines. Back then, Vijay Rupani, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, said, we will be strict and lenient where needed. Then West Bengal followed, where Mamata Banerjee says that the fines are too high. Maharashtra followed, saying that fines are too high, beyond limits of the common people. And then, at that moment, the Transport Minister, Nitin Gadkari, said that states have the authority to reconsider the fines. But what was then the great joy in bringing that law? That law was important and significant to increase the fine. Because had that happened, you would not have had a situation like this. It would have served as a deterrent. 100 rupees, 500 rupees in this day and age is not a traffic violation amount. People spend more on fuel, people spend more on a pizza than this amount. Is that the price states thought needs to be put on livelihood, on life? We spoke to Mr. Gadkari when states started watering down these traffic fines in 2019. Let's listen in to an excerpt of that interview.
सजा किसी को फांसी पे लटकाने के लिए नहीं है. सजा इसलिए है, ये डर पैदा करने के लिए है कि ये गलत काम है, ये करो मत. इसके बारे में लोगों के मन में अवेयरनेस पैदा करके इससे दूर रहना चाहिए.
आपको लगता है फाइन्स रेगुलरिटी से अगर हों तो भी इस चीज को अटैक किया
जाता है? आपको तो यूएसए में कोई आप इंडियंस वहां जा रहे हैं, कोई विदाउट लाइसेंस गाड़ी चलाने की हिम्मत दिखाता है? यूके में जाके दिखाता है, कनाडा में जाके दिखाता है, वहां नहीं दिखाता. वहां जाके 3-3 महीने लोग ड्राइविंग स्कूल में जाते हैं, लाइसेंस लेते हैं. आप पूछो इंडियंस को, वहां करते. और हिंदुस्तान में बोलते कुछ नहीं होता.
So this was Mr. Gadkari when states, his own certain BJP ruled state governments and then other state governments started watering down a law that he brought in. And you could see that sense of unease when he said that the idea was not to earn revenue, but to discipline people. And we can't help but completely agree. In fact, parliamentarians themselves in 2023 are saying the same thing. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Transport has said this on March 2023, as recent as this year. They say that existing penalties are not a deterrent for people riding luxury vehicles. The vehicle and income-based traffic penalty system is required in this country. Fines should be a factor of vehicle cost or vehicle owner's income, but clearly mentioning, now this is a debatable issue, the point that they seem to be mentioning is that this fine, existing fine, is not good enough. It's 35 years old. You attribute inflation and even then the cost will be higher than what it is right now. So on this show, the big question that we are asking is this. These highways of death, is it now time, ladies and gentlemen, to bring back high fine law? You need more fine. It will be a deterrent and it will stop these reckless drivers from driving in the opposite direction. A scene all too familiar in our cities and villages. Let me introduce our guests on this show. We have Dr. S. Velmurugan, Chief Scientist and Head Traffic Engineering and Safety Division, CSIR, CRRI. K.T. Ravindran, Senior Urban Planner. Anurag Kulsheshwar, President of Tracks Road Safety NGO. And Om Prakash Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. Mr. Singh, I want to begin with you, sir, first. These pictures that we see, do you or do you not agree that the fine is not serving as a deterrent? People think that they will pay 100, 500, 1000 rupees and get away. It will not serve as a deterrent. Don't you think we need greater fines? A proposal which was rejected by the states.
I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely. Without any doubt, without any point of discussion. You have already shown it and we have seen. As a police officer, I feel that the fine should be highest and what the Parliamentary Committee or what the Government of India did in 2019 should have been implemented. But thanks to the vote politics or whatever you may call it, the state governments didn't agree with this. But the fact remains, in UP, which is the largest state of the country, in 2022, you had almost 41,000 accidents in which 22,000 people, more than 22,000 people died. They were killed by the accidents and more than 28,000 people got injured. And I have noted, since I have worked most of the time in UP, I have seen that the lack of higher fines probably is one of the reasons why the people are not, people are violating the law, violating the traffic rules and regulations. I'll give you a very crude example that people can go for shopping. They can shop for 20,000, 25,000, 30,000 rupees shopping. But when they violate the law, when they violate the traffic rules, and if they are caught by the traffic constable, a meager fine of 100 rupees or 200 rupees, they will start not only paying for it, but they would rather call somebody who is their godfather. They would start calling the senior police officers, senior IAS officers, the politicians, the magistrates, the ministers. They are not willing to pay even 100 rupees as a fine. But they can shop around. They can go to malls. They can go to picture halls. They can do anything. But when it comes to giving them the fines, that's the problem. That's the culture of the whole thing. So I think it's absolutely necessary that you not only have to have a very strong law, but at the same time, you must have a higher fine for such violations.
Correct. Now, Mr. Kulshesht, I want to come to you and before I ask you this question, let's put this presentation on screen on how in this very Ghaziabad where this incident happened, and this, by the way, is a state-of-the-art expressway. It connects Delhi to Meerut, right? And this has multiple lanes. And overspeeding bus in the opposite direction plying on one such highway which has the maximum CCTV coverage. And yet this was happening. And this keeps on happening in Ghaziabad, where wrong side driving fines in January and February 2023 formed 50% of the total fines in 2022. 18,135 challans were issued for wrong side driving in January to February 2023. In Gurugram, this figure was 37,514 for wrong side driving. What is this madness to be indisciplined? That no, I will drive on the wrong side only. You know, what sense of entitlement does this bring in people that I will break the law? Indiscipline is my independence. And don't you think that when at a time like this, fines are reduced to 100, 500 because respective state governments feel people are too poor. So if people are poor, they should be entitled to breaking the law on the road. Mr. Kulshesh.
Good evening, Sanket. Very well said by you. I just want to add one more thing. Whatever the challan, this fine is there, 100 to 200, 500 or 1,000 rupees. Recently, UP government has waived off entire this penalty during last 5 years violations. That is another point. If you violate the traffic rules, no fine will be there even after 5 years. That is another thing. Number of governments, like in Gujarat, as you are saying, in Gujarat, they have made free for municipal areas, no need of helmet. Breaking of the rules, enforcement of the rules, and then leverage. In municipal boundaries, no challan for without helmet wearing. So that is the thing. And second thing, if governments are taking it, people are poor, they cannot give so much fine, then they will be responsible for all these killings. If people are dying in a group, 5, 10, 15, 20, from chief minister to prime minister announcing the compensation of 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 3 lakhs. Why not for each and every accidents? These state governments must be liable for that, to pay 5 lakhs to each of the road accidents. Maybe for the death 5 lakhs and badly injured for 50 lakhs at least, because that person has to survive throughout the life in a very poor conditions. So number one, and number two, we are thinking about this is a state of the art highway. No, this is the worst case of the lane discipline. You can see anywhere the lane is, instead of 3.5 meters, somewhere it is 4 meters, somewhere it is 5 meters. And somewhere you will find 4 lanes, 5 lanes, 6 lanes, 7 lanes. This is a state of art. Entry and exit. I have discussed with the PD, the police in this area.
Yeah.
They are saying entries are very poor. People are taking immediate turn with high speed.
Yes.
And unable to control it.
And we are all too familiar with this. You see, what happens is random cuts, random U-turns, and what people do, Dr. Velmurugan, is that they suddenly realize that, oh, I took a wrong turn. And then they decide to reverse their car and come back. Who would go ahead and take a U-turn? They will just start reversing their car on a highway where the speed limit is 100 and 120 kilometers per hour. This is a tragedy waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. I reckon. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Please carry on.
It's a tragedy bound to happen because of the fact this kind of expressway, which is having 3 plus 3 lanes on either side and 3 lanes on the other the so-called service roads. So here, if one enters here, there is proper sign is there that you are supposed to be on this lane, means you cannot go out till Dasna. So that kind of specific sign should be there so that the person who is actually entering by mistake also should not be prompting to enter, because once when you this particular bus also has entered the innermost lane, that is the median lane. So in the median lane, wrong direction driving is all the more dangerous because of the fact that vehicle coming, the fast vehicle is going to come on the median lane, and this fellow is this kind of things should be penalized in such a way they make it non-bailable arrest, non-bailable warrant, so that the things are more actually make the people understand that if I make this kind of biggest mistake on a road, by killing 6 people, so this should be penalized in such a manner. Otherwise, no. People
Yeah,
are
but it does
going
not
to
happen,
penalize
no.
this.
The point is, even if there is a traffic violation, the maximum, I mean, what is the fine that you can think of? The maximum fine is also something which is very easy on the pocket. And people don't, it is not serving as a deterrent. Which is why, is it now time to bring back the high fine law, or at least use technology when it comes to urban planning, where you can implement this better, the fines. K.T. Ravindran, what are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I'd like to, I fully agree with the proposition that you just made, that the fines are actually so low that they are no deterrent at all, particularly in a country where incomes are increasing day by day and we are increasing the width of our roads day by day. Speed is higher and higher speeds are being permitted, and when we have the same old fine which was there 30 years ago, it's not going to work as a deterrent. So I think I certainly would subscribe to the idea that we need to increase the fines, maybe triple it, increase it 4 times, 5 times, as much as the political leaders would like to do in each state. That's one issue. The other thing is that it's very evident by now, it should be evident to all of us, that just punitive measures are not sufficient to bring in discipline. Punitive measures are only one of them. You can have higher deterrents like, jail terms and non-bailable warrants and so on, like it was just suggested by Mr. Velmurugan just now. But it is also necessary to do better training of the drivers. It is necessary to have continuous training of people who are using the highway, particularly in vehicles which carry multiple number of passengers, especially in the case of a school bus. I think just imagine if that bus was loaded with students.
Yes.
It would have been far more tragic.
Yes.
And what we need is, along with the punitive measures, we need measures to educate the drivers on a continuous basis, not as just they pass one exam and it's
not
done.
a one-off.
But
Correct.
it should be
I get your point.
Yeah.
I've completely run out of time, but let us just hope that the very wise suggestions of all the gentlemen here is going to eventually move the needle. The Parliament feels this, that there should be higher fine for traffic violations. State governments feel that no, it will be a burden on the poor's pocket. What sort of appeasement is this? Is this more important than someone's life? Imagine, had the fine been very high, would that driver have even thought of flying on the wrong side of the road? We're stopping for a short break at this moment and leave our viewers something to think about. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. News continues on the other side.